Let's talk about credit today and 5 steps that you can take as a widow to protect your credit. Credit's one of those things that doesn't get enough airtime, but it's something that should be talked about more because it touches almost every other part of your financial life. So thinking about 2020, there were 2.18 million counts of fraud in 2020. That's a staggering statistic, and for something that doesn't get a lot of airtime, let's dive a little bit deeper into it today. So what are the 5 steps? Number 1, freeze your credit. What does it mean to freeze your credit? In practice, what it means is going to each of the 3 major credit bureaus and freezing your credit. It takes about 15 minutes, so you're thinking maybe 45 minutes total to freeze them at all 3 credit bureaus. And what this does is it disallows other people to access your credit report. So if someone were to go and apply for credit in your name and they tried to pull your credit report from Experian, Equifax, or TransUnion, it would prevent it from going through. So if you're the person trying to extend credit to someone, if you can't look at someone's credit report, you're probably not going to extend that credit. So it's a way to cut off access to your credit report. And something else that you can do in addition to the credit freeze is look at your credit reports regularly. At annualcreditreport.com, you can access a free credit report annually for each of the major 3 credit bureaus. And one strategy you could do is to space it out throughout the year. So instead of getting all 3 at once, you could, at the beginning of the year, get one from Equifax, another one mid-year from Experian, and another one later in the year from TransUnion. This way you're getting a few snapshots in time. Number 2, file taxes early and apply for an IP PIN. Now, I know filing taxes early isn't possible for everybody. I know people who have K1s and you're not getting your K1s until September, maybe even a little bit later than that. A lot of 1099s don't come out till mid-February. Usually you have a corrected 1099, in which case maybe you're not filing till the beginning of March. So I know it's not always possible, but file as early as possible. There's a lot of people who try to file fraudulent returns for people to collect a tax refund. So if you're expecting a tax refund, try to claim it as early as possible. Another strategy is to apply for an IP PIN, and you'll get a new one each year, so it's not really a forget it sort of situation where you can do it once and it's good. Like the credit freeze, you could freeze that and then you'd be good until you need to unfreeze it. This is, you're getting a new PIN every year, and so you want to make sure that you're looking out for that notice, because if you don't get that notice or you lose it, you'll have to use their online tool. And if something goes wrong where you can't use their online tool, you may be looking at 21 days in the mail to get that IP PIN back. But it's a good strategy to be able to file with the IRS, and it's a way for them to verify your identity and accept that return. Number 3, notify the IRS and the credit bureaus of your deceased spouse. So you want to let them know that someone passed away, because if not, that credit report may remain open, the IRS may be unaware. You want the note in the file that they're deceased. That way there'll be some more red flags if someone tries to file a fraudulent return or if they try to open credit in someone's name. You want to make sure you do that as early as possible. Number 4, scrutinize the bills. I know this is hard and it's putting one more thing on someone at an already difficult time, but you want to make sure that you're scrutinizing the bills when you've lost a loved one, because unfortunately, scammers are looking for obituaries, they're looking for personal information. The more you put into it, identifiable information such as mother's maiden name, date of birth, hometown, all those sort of things that are used as security questions, oftentimes those can come up and scammers will use that. They'll call someone, they'll create an invoice, they'll make it seem really real. So make sure if you're getting bills during this time, if it's not on auto pay or not something that you're used to seeing, go back and look through old statements or either bank statements or credit card statements. And is it something that you've paid before? If not, maybe you need to go online and look at publicly listed information, such as a phone number or some other way to contact the company to make sure it's legitimate before you pay it. And if someone starts demanding payment via gift cards or wire or any other sort of form of immediate payment, know that that's a red flag. Slow down, maybe ask a friend for help or a family member, and maybe they'll go through the bills with you. It can be a very vulnerable time, and you don't want to be just writing checks or inputting your credit card information or bank account information with every invoice you get, because some of them may not be legitimate. Number 5, this is a good one for everybody, but use strong passwords in two-factor authentication whenever possible. I see a lot of folks who either write down a password and keep it right next to their computer, or they'll use the same password for multiple websites or some iteration of it. And it's really problematic because if one website gets hacked and you use the same password on multiple websites, now thieves have that and they can go apply that to other different websites. And so you want to make sure you're using a complex and strong password, preferably something with a lot of characters, uppercase, lowercase, symbols, and numbers. One method that I really like to use is using a password manager such as Dashlane, 1Password, or LastPass. There's a lot out there. It's not a recommendation for any of those. Check them out, see which one stands out to you. But using them, you can set one complex password for the entire password manager, and then you can have all your passwords stored inside of there. So if you have 100 different websites that you frequent, you could create complex passwords for each of those. The password manager will keep it, and then each time that you log in, you just need to remember one password. It should autofill it, and then you're good to go. And then two-factor authentication, this is really important. Obviously, a strong password is really good, but if you can set up two-factor authentication, particularly for bank accounts or anything else that are sensitive to your financial lives, I would do that as well. And although SMS text message is a good method to use for two-factor authentication, most security experts recommend some sort of authenticator app such as Google Authenticator or something else where it's actually an app on your cell phone and you can log in and you can either approve something or enter the digits after that. The reason they don't recommend SMS text message quite as much is because those can be intercepted, whereas the app, it's harder to hack. So I'd recommend making a complex, strong password for each website that you're visiting and setting up two-factor authentication whenever possible. Hopefully you found this helpful and that you have some actionable steps to take going forward. I do want to ask, what one step are you going to take to help improve your credit going forward and helping protect it?